podcast is going to cover so many subjects: health and fitness, mental health, mindset, being a mum, business. Everything will be covered on this podcast. So join me bi-weekly for an amazing journey through life. Hi Ray, how are you doing today?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm super excited to have you on my Full Cup of Tea podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's really nice to be here and really nice to see you in real life.
I know, because we follow each other on social media.
Yeah,
We've never really met, have we? So it's really nice. And it'll be really nice to obviously me find out a bit more about you, and then I know that you'll help so many people who are listening to this podcast as well, because you seem to be amazing at what you're doing on social media at the moment, and you're helping so many people. So you're a lifestyle coach and a mindset mentor.
Yes, that is correct. So I am a lifestyle coach and a mindset mentor, and I empower women and people to follow their heart and live the life how they want to live, empower them to be the leaders of their life.
Yeah, amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about yourself, because you're not originally from Doncaster, I can tell by your accent.
Yes.
But you're living here at the moment. So if you want to just tell our listeners, a bit about yourself, and look forward to hearing it myself.
Of course. It's a really good conversation starter because it's first thing that people hear. And I don't think about it a lot myself, but yesterday as well, I had a meeting and they're like, oh, where are you from originally? It's a fantastic conversation starter. Originally, I'm from Latvia and I live in UK for 13 years already. Originally came for a few months and
Never left.
Never left, yes. And I do enjoy living in UK because compared to Latvia, and it has helped me so much with my mindset. It has transformed my life. We have so much opportunities here and experiences. I really like experiences, building memories with my family. We just went to ice hockey championships in Czech Republic and watched Latvia's national ice hockey team playing live.
Wow.
We like building memories with our family of three, my husband, me and my daughter. So,
Lovely. So you've obviously moved here from Latvia. Do you want to tell us a little bit about sort of your background growing up? Obviously in Latvia, it would have been most of your childhood would have been there. And what has sort of drawn you to want to become a lifestyle and mindset coach? I mean, it must go back to being a bit younger, and is there a story to that you can share with us?
100%. I, for the longest time, didn't believe that all the answers you can find in childhood. I was kind of really oblivious to that. And obviously with my personal development journey and self-help books and everything that I read and learned and studied, I realized that that's where all our keys to how we are now, that's where it all created, isn't it? When we were kids, when we were molded. And my childhood wasn't the best. I was living in a house that was highly dysfunctional. To find a person who can say, oh my gosh, yes, that's exactly how it was. Both of my parents, they're alcoholics, and there was a lot of domestic violence in the house, not towards the kids, but between the parents, from my dad to my mom. And it has definitely shaped how I am, and my self-esteem was non-existent for a lot of years, and obviously it all was survival rather than living. And through personal development and coming across coaching, NLP, and mentoring, I realized, oh my gosh, I need to. That's not okay. How I was growing up, and this is how it impacted me. And then it was my responsibility to decide, okay, where I want to go with that. And I realized that, what, I'm in charge of my life. I can make decisions that will help me. And I know how it is not to have anyone in your corner. I don't know how it is to have unconditional love of a mother or parents that always believe in you. And it's something that I'm still working through, in therapy as well. And it's something that I have to learn for myself, how to be my own cheerleader and how to be there for myself unconditionally. And it's that self-mastery, self-discipline, and self-discovery. What is it that I like? Because majority of my adult life was survival.
Yeah.
And now I am really passionate and made my mission to help other people not to feel alone and not to feel hopeless. And even when they don't yet believe that they can have the life that they want, to have that place where they can explore what is it that you want. Are you happy? You know, we meet people and we say, how is it going? Is it okay? How is your job? What do you do in your life? How is your holiday, right? But we don't ask, are you happy?
Yeah.
Does this job bring you joy?
Yeah.
And what do you want in your life? You know, and we're not taught to think like that, because it's all about ticking the boxes. Best job, best car, best house, best husband, a lot of money and things like that. But have you stopped and thought, like, are you happy?
Happy, yeah, because you can have all those things and not be happy.
Yeah.
But you'll sit in that sort of, you've ticked the boxes, so you just ride that in life, don't you? Knowing deep down, are you truly happy? Yeah. And no one ever sort of, I'd say, takes a step back and asks themselves that sometimes, do they? So I suppose what you're going to achieve is, you know, making people question, making people, you know, think about that, I guess. Is that the sort of thing that you do with regards to your mindset coaching?
We were running a confidence challenge. I already told you behind the scenes that I was running confidence challenge in the private Facebook group, and today was the last day. And one of the first tasks is to define what the confidence means to you. Yeah. Because what confident woman means to you is different to what it means to me. It's the same as success. Success for you might look completely different than it does to me. Yeah. And that's the difference, to define what it means to you. And I had so many women messaging me like, I never thought about this, and commenting, wow, that really made me think. Yeah. Because you don't you? You always think which school you're going to go to and what job you're going to take, and do I want this promotion, or this is the next thing. A lot of times yesterday I met a lady, she's a dental nurse, and we started chatting, and I asked her, oh, do you enjoy being a dental nurse? And she's like, yeah, it's okay. I said, oh, is it something that you wanted to do from when you were a kid? And she said, I kind of fell into it, you know. So she finished university. She found that there was an advert in a hospital for a dental nurse. She said, I started to do that. I qualified, and it kind of fell into, I was living here, there was the job, and kind of domino effect from that. But then a lot of times that's how it is. We're just following the path, isn't it? We start a job. And that's how I was like that. I thought I'm going to start a job at the bottom. And especially when I came to UK, I started at the bottom, worked my way up. I was an L&D assistant in head office. And I thought, I'm in an office. I'm working 9 to 5. Well, what else could I? I made it. And inside it felt like, I'm so miserable. Yeah. What am I doing? Is this helping anyone? You know, and things like that you start to question, because you approach things, you fell into things, and you just follow them through, and you don't stop to think. Yeah, it's like a tunnel vision, and you just look at that and think, like, this is my life now. Yes. And it's same, I think, as well with, you know, it's not just about obviously people who look like they are so happy, they're in that tunnel vision, when deep down, are they really? But then there's other people who are in that tunnel vision of being so unhappy. Both people think that that's their life. Yeah. Whether you're living a life that looks happy and you're not, or you're living a life that's very unhappy, I think people think once you're on these paths, you've got to stay on them. Yep. And I think it's about learning. I mean, I'll ask you this now. Like, if you had somebody who was on that, what would you advise somebody who is on that path of, I've got the job, I've got the husband, they've got everything, but they're unhappy inside. Yeah, I have actually someone like that. One of my friends, she's an absolute amazing baker. And every time we meet, she bakes us cake and cookies and things like that. And after one meetup, I sent a message. I said, you have to do something with this. This is amazing. You have such a talent. And she said, if I would know that this is going to work out, and if I know that this is going to provide me, I would go for it. But you never know, do you? No. And even when you start a new job, what is the guarantee that it's going to be there after 6 months or a year? But it's that mindset of, because there is not 100% guarantee, I can't do it. because there is so much unknown. My suggestion, my advice would be for someone to decide. And a lot of times there is that, I don't know if it's the right decision, but take a decision, make a decision, and make it right. Because if you have that commitment, it will be right for you.
Yeah.
And get away from that thinking of you either fail or you succeed. Because even if you try that, you're going to learn something.
Yeah.
It might be you're going to find something that you never thought you're going to find. And it's going to be exactly what you are either meant to do or want to do, and you're going to enjoy it more. My advice is to go for it.
Yeah.
If there is something that doesn't let you go, we know.
Yeah.
A lot of times people come and they're like, tell me what I need to do. Tell me what is that one thing that will help me. And if we sit in the session with a client, they know. They know, but
Yeah.
you're scared to do it.
Yeah.
And then I'm unpacking that. Why are you scared? What are you scared of?
Yeah, but a lot of
Yeah.
time, I think with these decisions and these places where we're staying, unhappy and things like that, again, date back to your childhood and your limiting self-beliefs.
100%.
It's, I mean, everything. I spoke about this on a few podcasts with people, but and people never understand this unless you've actually gone and done some self-work on yourself. You'll never understand that every decision that you make, like you said in the beginning of this intro, is from your childhood. So if you're at a point in your life where you're questioning things, where you're doubting yourself, majority of the time it's coming from a limited self-belief right from back from your childhood.
100%. I had a client and we, on a session, she went for an appointment and there was exchange of words and she got really upset and she started crying and she said, I don't understand why I'm crying. I'm an adult woman talking to this other adult woman and I'm crying. I said, okay, let's go back. I said, what did you feel in that moment? This and this and this. I said, okay, when else have you felt like that? This and this and this. And she's like, oh my gosh. And she starts crying in a session. And she's like, this is exactly how I felt when I was 8 or 7 years old in English lesson. And teacher said something to her. And she was like, oh my God, I never thought that.
Yeah.
But it is, and I can vouch for that. For the longest time, I didn't look at my childhood because
Same.
I was nope. So how I grew up, I had this, I would say even anger and determination.
But it's like a flight and fight mode, isn't it?
Yes, and mine was, I will show you.
Yeah.
I will show you I don't need anyone. I will show you I can do
Exactly
it
the
on my
same.
own. And it was, I remember obviously with my dad and mom, like in a domestic violence. And I had a promise to myself, but promise more like, I will never have a man doing that to me. And I have the best, like kindest husband. And I can say I manifested that.
Yeah.
But I remember that feeling of like, this is never going to happen to me. And yes, it got me results and it got me to a certain place in my life. But then it didn't have the fulfillment because I was doing it from the place of, I'll show you.
Sounds exactly like me.
Like, I'll show
Yeah.
you. You'll see.
But then you reach that, don't you? And you're still not fulfilled.
Yeah.
So you show them.
Yeah.
That's what I did in my business. You show them and you're still not
You're
fulfilled.
like, what now?
Yeah. That's exactly like me.
And that's where I'm like, okay, I need to look at my childhood and how it actually has impacted me. And I realized I could be very confident. I could speak in front of people. I had no problems speaking in front of my boss or asking for something, even talking about raise. I had none of that. But inside me, there was that non-existing self-esteem where I walked in a room and I felt just invisible.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a feeling. It was more of identity.
Yeah.
Because I was never acknowledged as a kid and we were never showed love or said I love you and things like that the kids need to be healthy adults
completely.
Right?
Yeah.
And and I learned my survival mechanisms, and yes, it got me to a place where I had the job, I had the house, we had the cars, we had the life that I'm like, on the paper you look and you think I made it, and inside you feel empty. And that's where you go.
So many people go through life like that. I did it. I did it myself. Like I literally did it myself until I've obviously like stripped back everything back, like you have from a childhood, everything, all the decisions I've made, you know, everything. And I had to do that myself, obviously, like over the last like 18 months, because I thought I literally had everything, but I still weren't fulfilled. I still weren't happy. I was living my best life, and had the job or the husband, everything, successful business, but I still weren't happy.
So what helped you? What made a difference for you?
I wouldn't say it's made a difference. Because I weren't truly happy. Me and my husband, the marriage, we were together 10 years, that broke down.
Yeah.
And then because I never sort of understood my feelings, my flight or fight, and I'd always sort of...
Your nervous system?
My nervous system and how you sit with an emotion and deal with it. I never knew that. So how I used to sit with an emotion and deal with it is I'd get drunk or I'd go out with my mates or I'd go partying with people. And then I'd spiral into a depression, but then I'd repeat the cycle. This went on for a few years. And then I got to a point where I just can't keep doing this. Like I'm not happy. I've had a few different boyfriends since my husband was there, which is not good on the kids. And just loads of, I just question a lot of things, and I'm questioning decisions that I were making, which I know was going to affect my kids. So I decided to I needed to go and learn more about myself.
And see, you kind of replied to the question that you asked me. What do you suggest to people, or what's your advice?
Decide.
You have to come to a place where you're like, no more.
Yeah.
Because we have so many excuses. It's not the right time. I'm not smart enough. I don't have money enough. I'm not in the right place. I'm not in the right country. Yeah. You're going to find so many reasons and excuses why not to.
Yeah.
But then you have to be honest to yourself. You're like, okay, who? Me. We all the time is like, it's my husband, it's my daughter, it's my kids, it's my job, it's my I have to meet with friends. It's alcohol.
Yeah.
It's there's this party. And there will always be something. But at the end of the day, you have to sit down with yourself and you're like, okay,
that's what
do I want? What do I do? What I do today? How is it impacting my tomorrow?
Tomorrow, your future.
In 10 years, in 5 years, a year.
That's exactly what I had to do. And I did a lot of self-work. I did see a therapist for a little while. That were really good. She's retired now, and then it was just a lot of YouTube and self-help books, and just being able to strip back. And obviously then I sort of got chatting to other people in like mindset coaches and stuff like that, and friends and things on social media, and just sort of basically it was just a lot of self-work. Like people think, I can't change, I can't heal from my past trauma because I can't afford a therapist, but there's that much stuff available online now, and there's that many people genuinely out there want to help people for free most of the time. There's YouTube, there's your podcast, which I think are really good, which is why I wanted to do this. And you don't have to have a therapist to strip back and look at your past and try and help with. There's so much self-help stuff out there as well. Don't get me wrong, if you can have one, it does help, because there is, you get sort of, I don't know, a little bit back from that, but it is doable. Yeah. It is doable, but you've got to want to do it. Yeah. That's the difference. Someone can say to you, right, you're probably making that, because I do it to people. You probably make that decision because of something that's happened in your past. And not judging, just saying to people, maybe just strip back and have a look what's happened in your past. You're probably making that decision because of that reason. And
they don't like to hear that, right?
No,
they're
like, yeah, and they'll go, I had no wrong with my childhood. I had no childhood trauma, because people look at childhood trauma as like really bad things. Just it's not always bad things. Yeah. It can be something as little as your mum and dad arguing all the time, or your dad and your mum and dad splitting up. That is still a childhood trauma, whether we like to label it as that or not. It is a childhood trauma.
Absolutely.
Your dad not being there when you were born, that one of mine, abandonment.
Yeah.
People don't say, well, I didn't know him, but as a child, I spoke to this woman, and a neurological woman, and she says, when a child is born, there's two parents supposed to be there, and we are neurologically sort of programmed to know that, even as a baby.
Yeah.
So she said, don't matter if you didn't know him, it's just how it is. And obviously over the years, as you learn that he wasn't there, that's why I had to learn that about myself. But people, unless you get to learn that, you never understand that. Exactly. So that's why I try and do do these podcasts with people, obviously like you and other people, and try and get people to look at that. Because I think as well, some people make decisions throughout their life and blame themselves and think they can never change, they can never make a change. Without realising that if you actually go back and look at why, the reasons why you may have made these decisions, you then get to accept them. You unpick them, and you can actually, channel yourself differently. I'm proof I've done it.
Because you probably heard this as well when you speak to people and they're like, this is just the way I am.
Yeah.
It's like, I call rubbish on that.
Yes, I agree.
Because one of the things that changed my perspective and a lot of limiting beliefs is the radical responsibility and accountability. There is no one else who can do that for you apart from you. And like for the longest years, and probably some parts still now like smaller, and I'm working through that. I am waiting for my parents to show up, because that's like you said, we are hardwired as humans to be pack animals. So to say, we are hardwired for belonging, connection, and love. We are, and I didn't have that. And it's kind of grieving what I didn't have with people who are alive and on paper should have provided that, isn't it? Because that's what people need. That's what we as humans need. Yeah. But how can you now, the radical responsibility and accountability is, how can you show up for yourself? Because now I'm an adult and I can do that for myself, and other people can do that for themselves as well. It's that you have to be in that place where you realize that, and no longer you are subscribing to, this is just the way I am and I can't change, or I can't change this job because then I can't find another, or I can't move from this house because I can't find another. There are, what stories are you telling yourself?
And that's really what it is. It's our own negative self-talk, limiting self-beliefs that we sort of entrap ourselves in our own mind sometimes, don't we? But it's obviously not everybody has or is at that point where they can actually sit back and think, right, this is how it is. This is why I think like podcasts and doing these type of things and listening to things on YouTube really help, because I think, wow, when I listen to some podcasts, I'm like, wow, yeah, like that is so true. And it makes you then question things. And then once you start questioning things, you want to delve into more and more and more. Yeah. So I would say to people, I mean, you'll probably say the same, like actually sit with yourself and have a think about like what you actually want in your life, where your life's going, what you might have done in the past that have influenced the stage where you're at today, and what can you do to change? Because everybody can change the path. Everybody can change as a person, because we just can. We evolve, don't we? We evolve. We make decisions based on things that have happened to us. We can also make better decisions based on accepting what's happened to us and moving on from that.
Yeah, and I like to challenge people's thinking as well. It's a lot of times we think we're humans and we're so superior, right? The technology that we have and how evolved we are and everything around us, right? But then when you ask a person to think slightly differently, like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And well, really, can't you? Or you don't want to, because it's something unfamiliar, isn't it? And a lot of times people are choosing fear. So I'm scared, so I'm not going to do that. Or I don't know how it's going to turn out, so I'm going to do that. But then if you go into something, success is also not guaranteed, right? So it's like, why do you choose fear over success? Why don't you go in and like, what if this works out?
Yeah.
You always walk into something and you think, what if this doesn't work out? What if it does? What if it does? And what if this is taking you to something that you never imagined that can happen? And but you have to be committed.
And I think sometimes as well with that, going back to that, is like we often, I've done it myself, we let fear run our lives, and it's always like, I won't be able to do it, but what if you can? But then if you can't, it's just a lesson.
Exactly.
And you learn from it, and you tried, and then you've actually broke a fear barrier then. Whether you've failed or not, you've still broke that fear barrier and gone for it, which is then something else which solidifies something in you that, you'll do it again. I can do it. Yeah.
And that's how you build the confidence as well in yourself. I had clients when I start to say about self-mastery and self-discipline and self-assurance, self-esteem, people are like, whoa, that's a lot of self.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be arrogant, or this is just so selfish. And you think, why? Because everything starts with you. We are programmed to serve for our jobs and go to the schools and in school to act certain way and then cook for husband, clean the house. We're taught and conditioned to that all external things. And we're like, but it starts with you.
Yeah.
You show up. How are you asking yourself, how are you showing up? It all starts with you. And you have to start with yourself.
Yeah.
You can still master yourself and still be very respectful, kind, caring, helpful. You can still do that. But for people, it's whoa.
Well, yeah, they do. They get scared of it. They get scared of actually putting themselves first. That's what I did for that whole year. Put myself first, focused on me. Because then for me, in my head, and this is what people need to realise and sort of ingrain in themselves, if you focus on you, you can be the best version of you for everybody else.
Yes.
But people find that so scary to do. Well, I've got kids. I've got this job. I've got this to do. I've got this to do. But without you really focusing on you, yes, you can do what you're doing for those people, but you'll never give it 100% because you're not giving yourself.
You have nothing to give.
You have nothing to give because we drain ourselves so much, don't we? Men, women, we drain ourselves so much focusing on everything around us. We don't give enough to ourselves.
Yep.
But then eventually you do deplete. You get to a point in life, which most people do. You burn out and you can't even, be the best version for your family and your kids and your job. Whereas if you are a little bit selfish, it's not even selfish.
No,
but
it's
not selfish. I call it. It's probably a word I shouldn't really use. It's not selfish, but if you do put yourself first. It's not selfish. People see it as selfish, I guess.
It starts with you.
Yeah, and then you can be the best version of you for those people. Yep. So you are taking a bit of time out for yourself. You are focusing on what you need to focus on to make you happy. Then everybody else is happy around you. Because if you don't do that and you're unhappy putting this mask on and going through life in this tunnel, being unhappy, eventually it will not be a happy place.
You're going to reach a wall. Yeah, you're going to reach a wall at some point where you have to face, like you said, that moment. I can't go anymore like this.
Yeah.
Whether you burn out, whether you are unhappy, whether something else happens, you have to work on yourself. And that's what people find hard. Yeah. Because that is going out of your comfort zone. Where is comfort zone? It was me for years and years and years. Don't draw attention. Don't draw attention. Don't be too loud. Don't be too visible because then people gonna ask. Then people gonna want to talk to you. And then once I talk, then I have to share. If I have to share, then oh my gosh,
they're gonna judge maybe.
Yeah, they're gonna judge me. They're not gonna accept me. The shame, the guilt, and everything. How I grew up, and then you realize nothing matters. At the end of the day, nothing matters because we all gonna leave this place at some point and we don't know where it's gonna be. And last year there was a wake-up call for me as well because I lost my sister-in-law to cancer and she was 39 years old. Wow. And you stand and you think, well, in funeral no one was saying, oh my gosh, she didn't have a Mercedes or she didn't have this house that is 3 stories high or anything. Everyone was saying she was such a good friend, she was such a good mom. Oh my gosh, can't believe this happened. And at the end of the day, you have to realize you live your life, not for other people. You live to be happy, and we're not taught to think like that. We're not taught to be healthy in our minds, isn't it?
No.
We're gonna go to the doctor if something happens. You're gonna go to the dentist if your toothache, and gonna do an X-ray if you break your bone. But when it's your mind, then people are like, whoa, no, we can't go there. Yeah. And I think
and then people just accept that and then just live like that. I mean, I think a lot of people now are getting a bit, because social media and YouTube videos and podcasts and things like that, people are sharing a lot more now. Yeah. So which is amazing because people are realizing that, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to want to make some changes and put yourself first. I think people are becoming more acceptance of that, which is great because years ago people just used to suffer in silence. Yeah. They'd live the unhappy tunneled life or they'd accept that's just who I am. Yeah, whereas now I love the fact that everyone's being so open about things that it's actually influencing and triggering people to actually think, no, I don't have to stay like this. No. I don't have to be unhappy. I don't have to hide from that past trauma, or I don't have to not talk about it, because I think as a society we are becoming less judgmental about things. I think.
Really want to hope that.
I like to think that. I mean, you're always going to get people who would judge you, but then again, I always think those people that are judge you, again, it's within them. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What?
And I've
what?
been I've been a bit through that because I've had a little bit stuff go on in my personal life and stuff, and like people have been saying X, Y, and Z about maybe things I've done in my past and that, and I'm like, but like you don't know why I did those things, like, and why are you judging me on that when you know that sort of is a reflection of something within you as well.
Yeah.
There'll be something that you've done in your life that's not perfect, but for me, I did a video on it the other day on my Instagram. Or like, I've been a judgy person. I will open my hands up and say it. We do, as humans, we'll look at someone, I don't know, someone on homeless and think, oh, he's homeless, or, you know, someone with addiction, or they're a druggie.
Yeah.
I've done it. Now I don't. I'll sit back and think, why?
Why do you feel?
Why are they? Yeah, no, I just think, why are they like that? Why have they made the decision? What's gone on in their past, in their trauma, to make them be like that? Like, and then like, I just want to help everyone, though. That's my problem.
Yeah.
But you can't help it.
You go from one to the other.
Yeah, and you're
it?
like, and I'm like, I just think you've got to look at the bigger picture with people, especially when it comes to judging people. Like you said, you had this like vision of staying where you were because you thought, oh, someone's going to judge me, I daren't speak. And people go around like that. But if we were less judgy and more understanding and compassionate and thinking, right, why have they made that decision? Is there anything I can do to help? Is there, you know, could I send them a podcast or a thing? This is what I do now. I just think it'd be a nicer place.
Yeah, but you also have to be tolerant because we spoke to Hannah downstairs that a lot of times when you want to help people, you have to meet them where they are.
Yes.
Not a lot of times they're like, why are you sending this to me? You think, do you think I need to fix this in me? You know, because you have done this awareness and you can see things differently.
We did that on mine.
We want to take people with us.
I've done that before.
Yeah, and I had to stop myself quite a few times. We're like, I sent you this podcast. Why aren't you doing this and this? I have to realize they are on their journey and we all are on our own journeys.
Yeah.
And we can go in different speeds. And sometimes we're not going to go at the same speed.
Yeah, I agree.
And we have to meet people where
and
they are.
And some people, you can send them all information at work, but they're just not ready.
Oh, no.
I've tried to help so many people and they're just not ready. But you're always there for them if they want to come back to you and stuff, but you've got to be ready. Yeah. I mean, I knew I didn't want to live like I'd lived probably for about, until I stepped away from alcohol so I could just solely focus on myself and mindset. But I probably lived in that cycle for 2.5 years. And no matter what people tried to like talk to me, people tried to say, you know, you need to go speak to someone. I just didn't listen because I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
So it's only when you're ready you've got to be ready. You've got to be ready to make that decision and make that change and really focus on you really. Yeah. And I wasn't ready, but obviously when I got to that point where I were ready, I've never looked back. It's the best decision I ever made.
And I like that saying. It's when student will be ready, teacher will appear, but student needs to be ready. Because you can have that teacher there, but if you don't hear what they say as a student, then nothing's going to happen. No. You have to, again, start from yourself. And I like to compare that with a car ride, because you drive, right?
Yeah.
You get into the car, and if you go to a place, you have a destination, don't you? You know the place where you want to go.
Yeah.
You don't just get in the car and think, I'm just going to drive for a while, and I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. It's not like that. So with the life, make that metaphor with the life.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
And what do you need to do to achieve that?
What do you want to do in life? I watch the podcast as well because I love podcasts and books and self-help books and personal development. And I think it was Oprah who said, she was on an interview, on a podcast, and the podcaster asked her, you have interviewed the most successful people out there. What is one common thing that kind of combines them all? And she said, they know where they're going.
Yeah. Because it's
simple.
Right, isn't it? It's such a simple thing like that. And I've never actually thought of it like that. Like you need
where
to know.
Where you're going, and you have to make a decision that you're going there.
Yeah.
Until then, nothing's going to change.
No, it's not. And so true.
You can give so many advice. You can send podcasts. You can send them to therapy or put them in rehab.
Yeah, but they need to know where they're going for the tools that they're going to be given to work.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Actually, I love
simple.
that. Yeah, so simple.
But not easy.
No.
Simple, but not easy.
No. I mean, first thing I think is like, you need to make a decision. I think, like you said, like where do you actually want to go?
Yeah.
And then once you've decided where you want to go, you make the decision to put everything in place
Yeah.
to get you to the
Yeah.
destination, basically.
Yeah.
Put your fuel in, basically, in the car. So
There you go.
you're in your car, you decide where you want to go. Then the next
Set
stage
your
is the
sat nav.
decision.
Yeah.
Is the decision is put your fuel in and go for it.
Yeah, and again, if we're talking about the car ride, there might be diversions.
Yeah.
Some roads
Bumpy
might
roads.
be some
Yeah.
roads might be closed because there's roadworks. You go around, you're
Yeah,
still
I
gonna
love
get
that.
there. And then what happens in the diversion? It might be you're gonna find services with your favorite coffee shop. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
I
in
love
life,
that.
the same. It's
Yeah.
we have this idea of we need to do this, and if it's not happening like this, it's not gonna happen. But it's not always like that. There might be a diversion. You're like, oh, I found this.
Yeah. But
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
This podcast is going to cover so many subjects: health and fitness, mental health, mindset, being a mum, business. Everything will be covered on this podcast. So join me bi-weekly for an amazing journey through life.